Coming up on Daytime, we're taking you to our neighbor in the South, Cuba.
The people-to-people cultural exchange was such a fascinating way to experience the country because we are literally having conversations with the artists and the organic farmers and the educators and getting to know what life was like for them, also seeing how they respond to us as Americans.
Our first guest has just arrived back from Cuba. And with so much interest surrounding that country right now, her stories and particularly her photography are of great interest.
And they're absolutely beautiful. Over the course of her 5-day journey, she met artists, musicians, farmers, people who practice Santeria, a fashion designer, and so many more people.
It was something called a people-to-people cultural exchange, and Leslie Joy Ikowitz is back with us. Welcome back. You've been on our show before with your beautiful photos, and welcome back. This had to be a trip of a lifetime. By the way, you're very Cuban chic right now.
Why, thank you.
Did you pick this up in Cuba?
I scooped this up off the runway at a fashion show I caught in Cuba on the last night.
That's great.
And, you know, I've been back 5 days and my feet have not touched the ground.
Really?
It was such an exquisite experience. And, you know, you still can't just show up in Cuba. American citizens must have a visa and they must be on some sort of cultural or educational program.
That's going to change as time goes on, for sure.
Indeed it will.
But what a time to be going when the Cuba of the past is still in the present.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And the people-to-people cultural exchange was such a fascinating way to experience the country because we are literally having conversations with the artists and the organic farmers and the educators and getting to know what life was like for them, also seeing how they respond to us as Americans. One thing that was really interesting was to find that they don't hold our country's politics against us. They don't blame us for their lot.
I love your pictures, by the way. These are so, that is great. Did you pose them or were they just like that?
These guys, I call them. They were just there on the street. I did, you know, get down low with them, and so this is a compelling shot, but I was really happy to meet these fellows on the streets of Havana.
That's awesome.
This picture really tells the story that the Cuban people live in such close quarters that they don't stay inside. They're out on the street. They're experiencing community. They're throwing a ball against a building. They're walking and visiting with friends. They're running here and there, but everybody is out. And it's very vibrant and energetic.
The colors are so vibrant. Everything we've seen so far, just so many bright colors.
Yeah, I couldn't get enough of
It's got to be something to keep their positiveness up. I mean, to keep them happy, you would think, because it's such a suppressed country, no?
Well,
part of it?
It doesn't seem to be at all. I mean, certainly there's socialist things happening. The education system and the health system is excellent.
Terrific, yeah.
It's unfortunate these beautiful, wonderful people are still eating rations. That should change soon, too.
Hopefully. And the infrastructure of particularly Havana, the city is crumbling, and that's got to change as well. You know, I visited Cuba actually way before, I mean, and I'm sure I want to ask you actually how different it is now than it was when I went in 1999, because we were moving around freely. It was a gorgeous experience. The people were so beautiful to us, and it was a trip of a lifetime. It really was.
Well, I'm so glad you got to experience it, and as we all said on our trip, we want to go back in another 5 years. I want to go back in 5 minutes, mind you, but in another 5 years to see what happens next. But I walked around the streets of Havana at night by myself for 2 hours, and I felt completely safe. The people were as lovely as you described, Jerry. If I had to choose one word to describe what I experienced in the country, it is energetic.
What about the food? You got to have great food over there.
Well, I brought Cuban sandwiches from Ybor City.
But they don't eat Cuban sandwiches in Cuba, do they?
I had a Cuban sandwich in Cuba, and it was quite strange.
What was it like? Is it like ours here? Because I think they invented these here.
Well, and Ilya from the Stone Soup Company, who provided these are 3-time first prize winning Cubans. He really calls this a Tampa sandwich, a variation of the Cuban, and I like this better.
Me too.
Well, they're not just going to sit there, Leslie.
Oh,
Why
no,
don't you pass I mean, come on.
I was about to pass it your way.
Seriously.
I was told if I'm coming on the show, I must feed Jerry.
That is
Yes,
a rule.
that is a rule.
It's in my contract. No, I'm kidding.
I have to tell you, the Cuban people are very familiar with Tampa.
Are they?
Tampa. They get very excited, and Ybor City in particular. And again, that's where the sandwiches came from.
Well, a lot of
so
my
I told
family
them, when
members
you come,
came
I'll
here.
tell you where to get a
Cuban sandwich.
Well,
Yeah.
a lot of them migrated here
Yes.
over the years in other parts of Florida and the United States. Now,
Yes.
I got to ask you, what is the food like there?
The ropa vieja that I had in the ecological village of Las Terrazas was the best thing I ate. The food wasn't as delicious as I'd anticipated. I happen to love what I've experienced as Cuban food. But it also may have been that I was like high on adrenaline. I didn't want to do much other than look around and take pictures and talk to people. I couldn't even really pay attention to the food.
That's great.
But what we did have was good. It just wasn't great.
All right.
But
you
I
had a
really
wonderful time.
recommend this experience for people.
Especially now, before it changes, because we don't know how. I mean, it could turn into Atlantic City. I hope not.
Gosh,
But
I hope
you know what I
not.
mean?
Right.
It
It could.
could
I
just
would
turn
cry.
into a
You're right.
highly
You're right.
commercial
Where can
place.
folks find your photos? Can they see them online?
LeslieJoyOriginal.com.
Okay.
I am planning my first solo show around my love affair for Cuba. That's going to be coming up,
That's
and
great.
Creative Loafing's involved with that.
Well, good. We'll keep it. We'll
And,
keep
yeah.
watching out for it.
Well,
thank you for joining us.
And
We really appreciate
and thanks
it.
for the sandwiches.
Yeah, thanks.
Really
This is
appreciate
delicious
it.
as it
We do.
looks.
Yeah, it is. Believe me, it's a great breakfast.
Yes.
We'll be right back.
Thank you.